Hello, my name is Sheen. I am a strategy consultant. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast. I create content for Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I do business coaching. I mentor female students in STEM. I do keynote speeches for STEM conferences and spinal research conferences as a PhD in spinal research. I've done a TEDx talk. I have a dating life. I love spending time with my friends. I love seeing my family. I have several hobbies like painting, pottery. I love playing paddle and swimming. And recently I've gotten into watching live cricket matches. I love going to the cinema. I love going to restaurants and trying out new food places. I absolutely love reading. And most importantly, I love to travel. So hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sheen. I am an Oxford and Cambridge graduate, currently working as a strategy consultant in Dubai. And on this channel, we explore all kinds of strategies on how to improve our personal and professional life. I do have a lot on my plate and my calendar is always super busy. But I have to say that I have now found a system that allows me to really enjoy my time and not to feel too overwhelmed about how much I have on. So I thought I will share this with you and hopefully it's helpful for you as well to enable you to use your time in the best way possible to do all the things that you want to do. So the first thing is understanding what is everything for you. We're trying to find time to do everything, but what is everything, right? And we need to be clear on our goals, whether they are personal or professional. So it's very important for us to know what is important to us and why is this important to us and how do we then fulfill this thing that's important to us, right? And of course, this is a very deep, life questioning thing, trying to find your purpose in life. But I found this very popular concept, which Warren Buffett explained one day, and I think a lot of people use that now, which is to create two lists. And the whole thing is that you start off by writing 25 things that are goals that you want to achieve, right? So 25 prioritized goals in your life. And 25 is a big number, right? I struggle to write 25 of them, but force yourself to write it down, 25 things, right? And then out of this 25, pick the top 5. So now you have two lists. You have 5 and then 20. And now what you do is you tear up the 20 list one and throw that away. This is clearly not your priority. You don't need to be focusing on that at the moment. You have found your top 5 that are completely close to you and things that you want to work towards very seriously, right? So now you've come down from 25 to 5, and this is a lot more manageable, right? And we know that these 5 are important to us. And you know, there's the famous saying, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way to do it. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And I think this is completely true. If we really want to do something, we'll find the time to do it. Just like, simple things like going to the gym. If you really wanted to go to the gym, you would go. You will find the time to go. Just like, if you want to speak to a friend, you'll find the time to call them during the day. There is no excuses, right? But if you don't want to go to the gym that much, you'll find an excuse of, I've had a really long day and I deserve a nice meal, right? So that's just how life is. That's just how we are wired as human beings. So now that you have your top 5 things that you really care about, you will find a way to get them done. So for example, for me, some of the most important things in my life are, self-growth, so to improve myself. The second one is to really dedicate time and effort to my relationships, all kind of relationships, and of course to help others and create impact somehow in the world. So now that I know these 3 things are important to me, I will design my life in a way where every aspect of my life are helping move the needle in these 3 categories, right? So whether it is my professional work, it is what I do with my free time, it is, what thoughts I have, what I'm reading, everything I'm feeding my mind and my body has to be leading me towards this. Easy, just think of future you, right? So for example, for me, what does future Sheen in 5 years' time look like? What is she doing? What is her ideal life? And therefore, from now to there, what do I need to achieve? And therefore, how do I break it down into a smaller step? There comes the consultant. But yeah, there you go. The second thing is to track your time, right? And I think whenever people are trying to lose weight or they're trying to spend less, they're always told to track your food, track your calorie intake, or track your spending. So it's the same thing with time, you know? Now track your time in order to understand where you're spending most of your time and whether this makes sense to you. It's now time to trim the fat. So for example, you know, and you need to be honest with this exercise, right? And I did it as well. And there's no right or wrong answer here, by the way. This is just for you, it's personal. So just be honest and really record everything that you're doing. So for example, a day has 24 hours in it. Let's say we sleep for 8 hours, that leaves us with 16 hours of the day. And now in these 16 hours, try and map out, you know, this is how many hours I spend on eating, this is how many hours I spend on the phone, scrolling through social media, this is how long I spend at work, this is how long I spend on, I don't know, walking, going to the gym. You need to track everything down. And then you sit down and you analyze this, right? Because your time is precious, right? And now you need to identify what are the things that are non-negotiables for you. So these things either bring you joy, are important to you, or, you know, these are things that you just can't negotiate, right? For example, if you have work from this time to this time, you have work, right? So then you have these blocks that you can't do anything about, so you keep them. For example, someone who scrolls through social media in the morning for 3 hours, it might be beneficial to their job, it might be beneficial to their content creation, it might be beneficial to their mental health. So whatever it is, if this thing is important to you, you keep it. Now you have a list of all the things that are not as important, and now comes the decision-making process. And it's up to you, right? You decide whether this is something you're willing to sacrifice, this is something that you definitely don't care about, or this is something that if you have time, you'd like to do it. You will see, it's like magic. Automatically, it will free up so much of your time because you realize that without knowing it, you are spending a lot of your time on doing things that do not bring you joy and that you do not want to be doing actively. And that has been super helpful for me to free up time on my calendar. And now that you have free time, it doesn't mean that you need to fill it up with something else. You need to still make sure that you are only doing things that are important to you and also maintaining time for yourself. And we'll get to that in a bit. But be protective of your time is what I'm trying to say. Be very protective of your time and prioritize tasks when it comes to allocating your time to it. Only do things that are very important to you and that you do genuinely believe needs to be done, or that you cannot, you know, negotiate with it not being done. But be very cutthroat when it comes to your time. You know, just like you wouldn't just ask someone else for their time willy-nilly, don't do it with your own time as well. The next thing is to have deep focus hours in a day. So for example, most people will tell you that we can probably do deep focus for 2 to 4 hours a day. And what that means is not that you need to be sitting down and working continuously in those hours, but it means that you should have no distraction in those hours. You should not have a context switch, which is, you know, for example, if I'm working on, I don't know, writing a script for a video and I have my phone there, and then there's a little ting and there's a little beep, and immediately your brain switches and now you're looking at the phone. And if it's an email, I start reading the email and I start planning on what to reply, or what does this mean in terms of what I have to do for the rest of the day. And now I've switched context. And now I need to switch back into writing my script. And this usually takes about 30 minutes for our brain to switch context. So we are wasting our deep focus time, which is why when you are doing deep focus work, keep your phone in a different room, keep maybe your laptop you need it, but do not check your emails and just avoid distractions and possibly don't have people around you, and just focus on what you need to be doing. Of course, take breaks. You can go, you know, to the bathroom, you can go have a coffee, but do not change the context of what you are thinking about. So do not start another activity. Do not engage your brain in another activity. And of course, just the way we are wired, things will start to pop up in your brain. You know, sometimes I'm writing and I'm thinking, oh, I had to reply to this person. And what we usually do is immediately we do it because we think we'll forget later. And this is bad for us. Instead, in your deep focus hours, have a little paper next to you and just, something pops up, let me write it in my to-do list for later, after my deep focus hours, reply to this email. And now I have it documented and I can take that later after my deep focus hours. And the deep focus thing has been shown to be very effective. I think there was some sort of social experiment they did where they locked people into a room with just a buzzer that will shock them, right? And nothing else to do. And it was incredible the number of people who, out of boredom, just decided to shock themselves because there was nothing else to do. And a very big majority even considered doing it, even if they didn't do it. So this just goes to show that if you have no other distraction, it's either boredom or you do the task that you have to do. So therefore you will end up doing the task that you have to do. So we just need to force ourselves to be in those situations so that the work gets done. And to wrap up this deep focus bit, the best way to approach the deep focus time is to also have only one thing that you're trying to get accomplished in one of the deep hour session. And this is because we cannot really focus on many things. Let's say you have 10 priority tasks that really needs to be taken care of. Well, you're gonna do all 10, but they're not gonna be incredibly excellent, right? But if instead you say, I have 10 things to do, let's say I will do 2 every day for these 5 days, or something like that, which is manageable it depends what the tasks are, right? If it's about sending 2 emails, you could probably do that in a day. But just try to have one task that you focus on in a day instead of thinking of the long list of things you have to do that is still pending. And in this way, you can focus very deeply on this one task and you are done once and for all. Rather than having split attention and working on 3 things at the same time, and then you'll have to do this again the next day because you haven't completed all 3, and this just keeps going. And you're not focusing and not doing one thing very well. The fourth thing, of course, in order to do everything, is to ask for help. And help can mean very different things, right? So for example, if you have too much on your plate at work, you can ask for help from a manager or a coworker explaining that, it's just impossible to do everything that you're meant to do. But it can also mean, for example, me, when I want to create content and I have a job that is 12 hours a day, what I can do is hire an editor because, I can make the financial decision based on the money that's coming in. And for me, it makes financial sense to then outsource this and pay someone else to do it. Or like having a PA who takes care of all your scheduling, having a driver, or just having an actual team for the job that you're doing. If you're a one-person business and now you want to increase your team in order to, get the work done better and it's less on your plate. And it can also mean asking for emotional support from other people, asking for advice from your friends, from your family, from your colleagues. But it's genuinely just asking for help because a lot of people do care. And the worst case scenario is they cannot help you, but at least you've asked. And in my experience, whenever you've asked, they either help you or they direct you to someone else or something else that can help you. So there's no harm in it. And the final thing is, of course, self-care. We really need breaks in order for us to be able to function in the long term in a very sustainable way. And we need to be able to take care of ourselves, which is why I was saying, do not use up all your freed up time now to do something else. Some of that freed up time needs to be me time. It needs to be you taking care of your mental health, of your physical health, and just, having fun and enjoying life as it is as well. Don't live in the future, enjoy your current times as well. And when I mean self-care, I don't necessarily mean, massages, reading books, and just, having a chill day. Self-care can mean very different things to different people. It can mean playing PlayStation. It can mean going on a run. It can mean anything really, right? But according to your definition of self-care, make sure you are finding the time to do that. And also just make sure that you're eating well, drinking plenty of water, sleeping well, and just taking care of yourself. I can't highlight this enough because we need to be operating at our optimal mental health state, physical health state, and everything. And we do tend to neglect our health, right? Whether it is what we eat, lack of exercise, whether it is, burnout. So we need to make sure that all of these things are being taken care of. So there you have it, 5 tips that hopefully will help you also find time to do everything that you want to do in your day-to-day life. But one thing I would love to highlight is that this will not happen overnight. Change never happens overnight. It is a work in progress. Even for me, it is still a work in progress till now. But you need to trust the process and celebrate the small wins. You know, whenever you see yourself learning a new habit or leaving a bad habit behind, celebrate it, because what matters is that we are progressing little by little. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you have any suggestion on how others can also help themselves in terms of time management, please share them in the comment section. And if not, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye.